Hey everybody, I'm Benjamin, aka the Terrible Australian at Supermaster.com. Welcome to my video review of the Angry Birds movie, which of course is the big screen adaptation of the popular app game of the same name. So let's get right into it. Yeah, the funny thing about video game to film adaptations is most of them don't end up being very good. Like, it's not to say that I haven't enjoyed some of them. I mean, one of my guilty pleasure film series is the Resident Evil series, and I also enjoyed Silent Hill as well. But that being said, though, there hasn't been sort of really, say, I guess a quote-unquote quality good film of a sort of that film that's based on a video game. So, I mean, there's been so many over the years, but none of them have quite hit the mark. I mean, it's not to say we can't still enjoy them for what they are, but it just hasn't been a truly great one that's been made. Although I think the closest one I can probably think of is probably Mortal Kombat, but that's sort of more silly fun. But that I would say is probably that one is probably, in my opinion, is probably still the best video game to film adaptation out there at the moment. Although we have quite a few of them out this year with, you know, Warcraft and Assassin's Creed out later this year. So, well, Assassin's Creed out later this year and Warcraft, which is out now, which I'll do a video review of soon. So, like the good, but I mean more, instead of just, but more sort of genuinely kind of a good film, you know, like one that sort of critics and all that would love and whatnot. So, so when I heard that, you know, the Angry Birds game was going to be made into a movie, I thought, okay, you know, there's potential there because, you know, the Angry Birds, even, I've played Angry Birds over the years, and I thought it was a fun little game. Not a great game by any means, but a fun one, and one that sort of a lot of kids enjoy as well. And I think the whole idea of Angry Birds does have potential to be a really solid kids film if it's done really well. Having now seen the actual film, in some ways it is, in other ways it's not quite. I have to say, overall, I think it's a watchable film, and it's one that I think kids will definitely enjoy for sure. But yeah, overall, it's just, I found pretty average, to be honest. I think one of the main reasons for that is, and what really kind of turned me off a bit about the film, not to say, was that it has a lot of sort of lowbrow humor, and I don't mind lowbrow humor as much as the next person, but the way how it's sort of done and portrayed in this film, I just thought didn't really work, and and most of the sort of the gags and the jokes and whatnot just kind of fell flat. Like, there are some little moments here and there where there's some pretty funny little bits of humor, but they're sort of kind of few and far between. And also kind of sort of, and at times there's sort of some, I guess trying to be subtle sort of adult humor in there as well. But for me, I just found it kind of jarring compared to the rest of the film, and it easily could have taken it out. So, but animation-wise, I think it's a really good-looking film. The animation is pretty solid. The voice cast, like, it's a huge cast. You got Jason Sudeikis, Josh Gad, Danny McBride, Bill Hader, Peter Dinklage, Sean Penn for some reason. They all, you know, they do well what they're given. Like, it's not a highly demanding film, you know, for an actor to voice, but, you know, for most part they do pretty reasonably well. And just Jason Sudeikis in particular, I thought did pretty solid work in kind of the lead role in the film as the character of Red. And but overall, to me, where the film actually started, like, but where the film actually started actually engaging me more so was kind of the last half of the film, which I won't spoil, but it's kind of like this really cool kind of action set piece where it actually kind of starts bringing in elements of the actual video game. And I thought that entire last half was actually pretty well done, and a lot of the action was pretty unique and creative, and how they sort of are able to sort of bring in those kind of elements from the game into and doing it in the guise of sort of a big action set piece was actually kind of a lot of fun and pretty well done. And but it's really kind of but it's really, but nothing was quite about the previous part, like the previous two halves of the film weren't quite as sort of inventive or creative as that last half was, and which I felt was a bit disappointed by. So overall, like, the Angry Birds movie, it's not a particularly good film by any means. Like, to me, sort of a lot of the humor and all that just kind of fell flat and just didn't really, and I just found it kind of didn't really work for me because I'm not really, like, I don't mind lowbrow humor, but I just felt how it's sort of done in this film just didn't really work, so a lot of the jokes just fell flat to me. But there are some fun moments, and the cast are pretty decent, although I'm still trying to figure out what the whole point of Sean Penn was in this film. I can understand why you would cast him in an Angry Birds movie, because, you know, he has a reputation of being an angry guy, but even then, sort of how the character he's given is, he's just completely wasted. Like, it's a character that anyone could easily have played, and I'm just thinking, why even cast him in that role? Like, why not cast him in a big role, like one of the bad guys or one of the heroes? But yeah, that didn't make sense to me. Although I did enjoy Peter Dinklage's performance in it as well. I thought at least out of the vocal cast, he definitely was the one who had the most fun with his role. So overall, Angry Birds movie, it's a okay and watchable film, but yeah, but in a lot of ways it's pretty average. But, you know, kids will enjoy it though. I just didn't feel like it was as good as it could have been. I think it's sort of laid out. I think if some of the gags, like sort of the lowbrow gags and adult risque-esque humor kind of was toned down just a little bit. Not that I'm a prude about that stuff or anything. It just felt sort of jarring in sort of regards with the tone of the film. I feel like it probably would have been a much better film. But I guess they were kind of sort of try to please both kids and adults. But yeah, I don't, kind of similar to, you know, like how the Shrek films kind of did in the past and whatnot. But unfortunately, I didn't think it quite worked. So overall, the Angry Birds movie, I give it about a solid 2.5. Like I said, it's watchable, but yeah, it's pretty average. So yep, that's the end of my video review of the Angry Birds movie. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later. See you everyone. Bye.